Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And we are continuing our series on the new Arcane Subclasses out of Unearthed Arcana. We're doing a pretty detailed look at all of these classes. And the next one in our list to review is the Tattooed Warrior. Not my favorite one. I really got to say this one has a lot to be wanted. And that's pretty much where we're going to start. Lots to go over, lots to talk about. Stay tuned. Don't go away. All right, before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or a comment. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and don't forget to share this video. All right, the Tattooed Monk. I just want to start out by saying I feel like they wanted to include every one of the classes in the Arcane Subclasses, and I just feel like they fell short on the Tattooed Monk. It doesn't feel like they put a lot of thought into this. It doesn't feel like they designed it correctly. It doesn't feel as powerful as the other ones. It just is kind of a jumbled mess put together. And its theme is it's tattoos, and the tattoos are everywhere, and they do everything. It's got a little bit of utility, just a little bit at the cost of a lot of combat power and combat control, which is really where the new monk needs to go. So we're going to start out, I'm giving this a D. We're giving this a flat out D. So let's take a look at the tattooed warrior monk, and let's talk about the new subclass. So the intro here says, drawing from diverse body marking traditions from across the multiverse, tattooed warriors can use arcane powers imbued in their magic tattoos. These monks gain tattoos as they grow in martial prowess and insight. Tattooed warriors can cause their tattoos to change shape to access a versatile suite of physical and magical effects to overcome foes. All right, so let's go up here to the top. And it tells us a little bit about the magic tattoos. At level 3, you get this. So you gain the magical tattoos. They appear on your body. They can't be impaired because of damage or injury. And they can look like a brand, a scarification, all the different kinds of things. Then it talks about the saving throws, because some of these do give saving throws. So it's an 8. It's standard 8 plus your wisdom plus proficiency bonus. And your spellcasting ability for your tattoos is wisdom. And whenever you finish a long rest, you can reshape one of your magic tattoos, changing the option you choose from one list to another option. So there's basically 3 lists. There's Beast, there's level 3, level 6, level 7. I think there's another level 2. But nobody gets past really a level 11. So level 3, level 6, and level 11. All right, so at level 3, we get the Beast tattoos. You gain 2 of these. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 choices. So there's the bat, the butterfly, the chameleon, the crane, the horse, the spider, and the tortoise. And by the way, this is a brand new subclass. This does not exist. It didn't exist in Legacy, and it doesn't. It currently does not exist in the 2024 Player's Handbook. So it is here. So with the bat, the dancing lights cantrip. Okay, whatever. When you expend 1 focus point to use Patient Defense or Step of the Wind, you gained Blind Sight with a range of 10 feet for 1 minute. Okay, so my interpretation of this is with Step of the Wind, you're usually running away. So we can look at Step of the Wind here. So here's the monk, and with Step of the Wind. All right, the next feature in the Beast tattoos is the butterfly. So the light cantrip. Why would the monk need to do that? Other people in the party can do that. You can expend 1 focus point to cast Silent Image without material components. Not needed. Complete and total waste of a focus point. Essentially, you're using a third of your focus points, which you've only got 3 at 3rd level, to cast Silent Image. No. That's somebody else's job, not the monk's job. Next, we've got the Chameleon. You know, the Minor Illusion cantrip, not the monk's job. You can expend 1 focus point to cast Disguise Self. That's good outside of combat. Not a efficient use of focus points, which are mostly combat focused. So I just don't feel that, again, this is just something they threw in here for flavor. It doesn't make any sense. A lot of this stuff just doesn't feel like it fits with the monk. All right, the next one is the Crane Tattoo. You know, Guidance. Okay, that's a good one. That can be used inside and outside of combat. When you miss a creature with an attack granted by your Flurry of Blows, you have advantage on your next attack roll for any remaining unarmed strikes that use Flurry of Blows. So Flurry of Blows, 1, this doesn't cost a focus point. It rides on top of Flurry of Blows, which you're already spending your focus point on. However, it only essentially is tied to the first attack of your Flurry of Blows. So if you miss that first attack, you have advantage on the second attack, because Flurry of Blows only gives 2 attacks. All right, so that one's pretty good. The next one is the Horse. You know, the Message cantrip, not the monk's job. You can expend 1 focus point to cast Long Strider without material components. Again, I play a monk in another game. We have a druid, and the druid can cast Long Strider on me. Not the monk's job to do that. Somebody else can do that. The next one is Spider. You know, the Mending cantrip. Why would a monk need to cast the Mending cantrip? That is not. Somebody else in the party, again, can do that. I'm not sure why that's here. They just kind of threw this in here. It just feels like there's so much just random stuff thrown into this class. When you hit a creature with an attack granted by your Flurry of Blows, okay, so doesn't use one of our precious focus points, and it rides on top of Flurry of Blows. So when you hit a creature with an attack granted by Flurry of Blows, the creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll. So it's like a mini, mini patient defense. It's only 1 attack, but that's okay. And lastly, we've got the Tortoise. You know, the Spare the Dying cantrip, not the monk's job. Might be useful, but that's definitely not the monk's job. And then you can expend a focus point to cast False Light. I would have liked to have seen like Shield Spell or a bump to Armor Class or something like that. False Light's okay. It gives a little bit of temporary hit points, but not very much. So nope, I don't see that one either. All right, then we go to level 6, and at level 6 we're going to have 6 focus points, and these are supposed to all have a celestial theme, but I don't really feel that they do. You get an extra tattoo. The first one is called Comet. Not sure how that's. I guess it's celestial because it comes from space. Although when I think of celestial, I think of like angels and heaven and things like that. So you expend two focus points to cast Find Traps. Not the monk's job. That's a third of your focus points spent on finding traps. Not your job. That's somebody else's job. The next one is the Crescent Moon. You can expend 2 focus points to cast Misty Step. That's better than the first option. That might come up maybe, but that's a really big use of a third of your focus points. The next one is Eclipse. You can expend 2 focus points to cast Invisibility, which lasts for an hour, but as soon as you make an attack, you're not invisible anymore. So that's just kind of a one-off, unless you want the monk to be like sneaking outside of combat. Again, just it feels forced and it doesn't make sense. And the last one really doesn't make any sense. Sunburst. You can expend 2 focus points to cast Lesser Restoration. Not the monk's job. That is a cleric's job or a druid's job. Not the monk's job. Waste of focus points. All right, at level 11, we are going to be having 11 focus points. And now we have the nature theme. And we get an extra tattoo. So at this point, you're going to have 4 tattoos. So the first one is Mountain. And all of these have the same format. It's just a different type of damage and a different attribute. So as a magic action, you can spend 3. So that's like 25 to 30% of your focus points are gone. You do this, you get resistance to acid damage, which doesn't happen very often at all. And you get advantage on Constitution saving throws for a minute. The next one is Storm. As a magic action, you can expend 3 focus points again to gain resistance to lightning. That's more common. And you have advantage on dexterity saving throws for a minute. Okay, that's a more common saving throw, and it's the monk's best saving throw. The next one is Volcano. As a magic action, you expend 3 points, and guessed it, you get resistance to fire and advantage on strength saving throws. That's probably good because if you fail some of the things for strength saving throws, they're pretty bad. And fire is very common. And the last one is Wave. You spend 3 focus points, you get resistance to cold and advantage on wisdom saving throws. Okay, that one's cold is not as common, but wisdom saving throws are pretty devastating if you fail these. But again, this feels forced. It feels like it's just random stuff put together. I would have liked to have seen different things for a level 11 power other than a resistance to damage and advantage on saving throws. I would have liked to have seen, say, extra damage or extra powers. You know, it would have been cool if you could do like a volcano strike or a wave strike that pushes, you know, things forward. And that seems more arcane to me too. But oh boy, I just get resistance to some damage and I've got advantage. That doesn't seem very arcane to me. The last thing that we get is the monster tattoo. So you gain a monster tattoo. So by 17th level, you got two tattoos at 3rd level. You got another one at 6th level. You got another one at 11th level. And you're getting your 5th one at 17th level. And these all feel kind of random and forced, and they don't make any sense. So you get the Beholder, fly speed of 10 feet for a 17th level power. Come on. And you can hover. Additionally, you can expend 3 focus points to cast Counterspell. Okay, that sounds cool. And at 17th level, you are going to have 17 focus points. Here is my question. Is it the monk's job to cast Counterspell? Now, the more in the party they can cast Counterspell, I think that's better. But I just don't, it just doesn't feel to me like something that goes along with the monk. Blink Dog. When you expend a focus point to use Patient Defense, then you can expend 3 more points to cast Blink. Nope, that's not a 17th level power. Displacer Beast. When you expend a focus point to use Flurry of Blows or Step of the Wind, you can expend 2 more focus points to cast Mirror Image immediately after that bonus action. Okay, you know, this probably should have been at a lower level, I think. That is not a 17th level power. And finally, Guardian Naga. When you would be reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, your hit points instead change to a number equal to twice your monk level, which at this level will be 34. Once you use this benefit, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest. So, kind of saves you. It's okay, but not fantastic. Again, and I think that's the last of it. So the next one we're going into is the Ancestral Sorcerer. So these just feel underpowered. Now, when I go in here and I look at, say, the Warrior of the Open Hand, okay? So I'm playing a monk who is the Warrior of the Open Hand. So you get this at level 3. Whenever you hit a creature with an attack granted by your Flurry of Blows, you can impose one of the following effects. These are automatic. They are imposed. You only have to use your Flurry of Blows. You don't have to spend any extra points. Addled. The target cannot make opportunity attacks until the start of your next turn. Guess what? That one gets used all the time. And I don't have to worry about disengaging now. That's it. It's done. I can just run away. I can run around them. I can reposition. I can run away. Whatever. So push. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed up to 15 feet away. I use that a lot too. Now, strength sucks, but again, it's a freebie. This happens when I do Flurry of Blows. Whenever you hit a creature with an attack granted by your Flurry of Blows. Whenever. So there's 2 opportunities for this. Topple. The target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or have the prone condition. I got 2 opportunities. If I hit twice, I got 2 opportunities to do this, and then they're prone. It's awesome. Wholeness of body is okay. It is not great, but it's okay. You gain the ability to heal yourself as a bonus action. You can roll your martial arts die, which is D8 at this level. You regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled, plus your wisdom modifier. And you can use this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you do a long rest. So you can use this. I've got a 16 wisdom, so I'm using this 3 times a day. At 11th level, when you take a bonus action, other than Step of the Wind, like Flurry of Blows, you can use Step of the Wind immediately after that bonus action. So I can go Flurry of Blows, Addle, no attacks of opportunity, and then I can go Fleet Step, Step of the Wind, gone. And then Quivering Palm. You gain the ability to set up lethal vibrations in somebody's body. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can expend 4 focus points. But at this level, we've got 17, which last for a number of days equal to your monk level. The vibrations are harmless unless you take an action to end them. Alternatively, when you take an attack action on your turn, you can forego one of the attacks to end the vibrations. To end them, you and the target must be on the same plane of existence. When you end them, the target must make a Constitution saving throw or they take 10d12 damage. That feels like a 17th level power. That totally feels like a 17th level power. Not, I'm going to cast Mirror Image. So you can see the contrast between these. It is vast. So to me, the Tattooed Warrior just appears jumbled, chaotic, unorganized, and it just feels like they just put things together and they're not very powerful. And they're not focused on combat. They could have made this very much a cooler class than it is. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.